I was on vacation in Italy in the summer of 2023 with my husband. And it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 days into our 10-day vacation. And I was babbling, as I tend to do sometimes. And I started talking about Agatha Christie and Miss Marple. And I was like, why does anyone invite her anywhere anyway? Because every time she goes somewhere, somebody dies. And then I was like, oh, every time I go on vacation, somebody dies. Like, that's a great title for a book. And I had been working on trying to write a funny mystery for a while. It was something I had actually started a different project and just wasn't gelling for various reasons. Um, so then I had that title, and then I was like, okay, what lives up to that title? And I had this idea from years ago about a group of authors at a literary conference, um, like murder mystery conference, and somebody dies, and then the authors are all trying to solve that mystery. And I never wrote the book. I submitted the idea, and it just, when I was writing thrillers, and it just wasn't the one that my editor was interested in. But I had a kind of brief outline of it anyway. And so I was like, okay, what if I take that idea and merge it with this title? And since I'm here in Italy, like, why not set it in Italy and make it 10 days and go to the same places that I had been? So that was the genesis. It's a best-selling author who is on the 10th anniversary book tour of her first novel, which is called When in Rome, which is a thinly veiled retelling of an adventure that she had when she went to Rome 10 years earlier and met a man named Connor Smith. She meets a real person named Connor Smith, who's like a private investigator slash con man. And he is in the midst of investigating a series of robberies in Rome that eventually turn into a murder. And so that is what she ends up writing about. And because she was naive and didn't understand publishing or, really know what she was doing, is she kept his name in the book, um, and sold that series and sort of unexpectedly, and but decided to keep it from Connor as like a surprise. And it was too late to change it when he found out, and he was not happy. One of the conceits of the series is that it's kind of like inside baseball in publishing and being an author, and um, sending up tropes of murder mysteries. And so um, there's all the things that are supposed to happen when you're in this kind of environment, particularly when you're in a cozy mystery or a cozy adjacent mystery. And so Eleanor is very aware of those, and I was as I was writing them, and then is playing with them. So, um, you know, being able to go to all these different locations, and then what's going to happen, and as the location changes, and why are they in Italy in the first place? Is it a good idea to go back to the scene of the crime, as it were, from 10 years ago? Obviously not. And so yeah, it was fun to do that. And I've written lots of books about places I've written books set in places I haven't been, but when you have been there, it definitely can give it just a whole other level of um authenticity, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. And so, I could play with the food and the sunsets and tell people about fun spots in the Amalfi Coast that are worth visiting, not being involved in a murder, but which most people don't get involved in murders on their vacations, though. I envisioned it when I started writing and when I started talking with my agent that it would be a 3-book series. So yeah, the idea was to leave some people standing who would then follow into the next couple of books, and that is how I pitched it, for sure. So, and I know who's going to survive when I start the process. When you're writing a book as an author about an author, they need to have something that is tangible that they're doing. So I definitely had to give some thought to what that book was and what her series of books are. And um, in that book, there's lots of fun little inside things, but we have like the back cover copy of When in Rome, and we have all the other books that she ends up writing. And she is plotting her 10th book in the series at the beginning of this novel and through the novel. Um, and her plan is to kill Connor on the page, of course. But then it turns out someone else is trying to kill him. And so she gets, pulled into that. So it's fun. It was fun to use that sort of meta aspect of, you know, is art imitating life? Is life imitating art? In No One Was Supposed to Die at This Wedding, which is book 2 in the Vacation Mysteries series, we're about 3 months later, and they have made a movie about When in Rome. Eleanor's first book is being turned into a movie. And Eleanor's best friend, who's an actress named Emma, has been cast to play her in the movie. And a very famous actor has been cast to play Connor in the movie. And it starts on the last day of filming um, for that movie. Emma and the actor playing Connor have fallen in love, and they're going to get married on Catalina Island. And the whole cast and crew are going to go over for this wedding because Hollywood. Um, so the way I played with writing tropes in the first book, I got to play with the film industry, and what it's like being an author inside the film industry and seeing your work adapted or maladapted as Eleanor, is kind of unhappy with the way her book is being adapted in this context.